6:05, welcome in on a Thursday morning on KCMO Talk Radio, now on FM at 95.7. Hit that preset right now on your radio dial. Mark is fist pumping away in the studio, not just because it's Chiefs game day, but because we are being heard crystal clear on the 100,000-watt FM stick that is 95.7.
Usually the intersection that I go through on the way to get to the highway, it's all staticky and stuff like that when I'm listening to the station. This morning, it was beautiful.
Oh, my goodness, it was beautiful. So this was the news we've been teasing for the better part of, give or take, a week now. And for us, in large part, nothing's going to change with this show. But you got to understand, we were playing the game with one arm tied behind our back on 103.7. Now, we're still going to be there. We're not leaving 103.7. But for many of you, as you've been complaining to us for years about, I can't get 103. It sounds like, why can't I get it? Well, it was 250 watts. It is 250 watts. Not to get too technical, but it's what they call a translator in the industry. We are now on a flame-throwing 100,000-watt FM, which is going to give us incredible coverage around the Kansas City region. And we'll take a little bit of credit for this, but this is a testament to, first off, the management here at Cumulus that believe in what we're doing, going on 6 years now with this show and with this station. So a ton of credit to our local management, of course, to the corporate management as well, realizing that we're making a difference here in the Kansas City community, not just giving you perspectives and news stories that you won't get around town, but the charitable work that we are very proud that we do around here, things like the Back the Blue tour. I mean, all those things that we've done over the last 6 years that we believe and we're grateful have made an impact on this community. They looked at and they said, gosh, we need more of that. We got to get that a bigger reach. So we're grateful for them, and we're also incredibly grateful for you. It has been now nearly 6 years, as I noted, doing this show on KCMO. It has become home for my family and me. Both my daughters were born here. We love it here, and we want this to be home for a very long time. And the company saw that, appreciated that. Obviously, I appreciated them. And none of this would have been possible without you coming here to KCMO, sharing our message, sharing our stories, sharing these shows that we air every single day, downloading the podcast, streaming it on the KCMO Talk Radio app, which is still readily available, or the website, kcmotalkradio.com, and just helping us grow this thing at the grassroots level. That's what this really has been over the last nearly 6 years now. Very much a grassroots operation, show by show, hour by hour, segment by segment, event by event. So none of this would have been possible without you. I want to make that very clear. You're a big reason this is happening. And you're a big reason that this radio station is now changed for decades to come. And we are so happy to be broadcasting now on crystal clear 95.7 FM. So slam that preset now as you're driving in the car. And make sure that you do that as we get the morning rolling here on a Thursday on KCMO Talk Radio. So welcome in. There is so much to get to this morning, by the way, including we've got a big announcement with Dan Bongino. He's going to be here 1 hour from now, 7:10. He's going to be joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. Meantime, I'm wondering what the mayor of Kansas City is going to do. He's given me some good signs, and by the way, Quentin Lucas will join us for his usual Thursday slot at 7:30. But when I say that, I'm curious because he's been pretty good this week, pushing back on many of the activists that normally he's fairly friendly with in Kansas City, who have been very much sympathetic to terrorists in the Middle East. There has been this, obviously, pro-Palestine movement that has unfortunately taken place in some progressive circles. And that's happened here in Kansas City over the last 3-4 days. It's gross. It's disturbing. And the mayor has to confront it because these people are being incredibly vocal on social media. Yesterday, we told you about the news that he revoked this young guy, Emerson Hayes is his name. He's kind of big in the Kansas City social media world. Mayor Lucas withdrew his nomination for the Kansas City Zoning Board after he called Israel a regime with genocidal intentions. This is America. This is free speech. But here's the thing. Free speech doesn't mean that that speech does not have consequences. It clearly does, and it obviously should, right? And as much as I'm going to support your right as a free speech absolutist to say what you want, it doesn't mean it doesn't come without consequences. And that's what you saw this week. You saw a guy who was going to be on the zoning board get his nomination yanked by the mayor in a great move because he calls Israel on his social media pages, proudly, by the way, a regime with genocidal intentions. And then, by the way, the guy went on social media and complained about that. But you have groups like KC Tenants. You know, we've been dealing with this group now. They've been a headache for the better part of 2.5, 3 years. Maybe longer than that now. But they're an organization that's, you know, of the belief of give everybody a house, put a roof over their head, and you'll destroy crime. There'll be no homelessness. Everything's going to be good if people just get handed a home. Now, we've tried that on and off for the better part of 5.5, 6 decades now since the Great Society in some way, shape, or form, and it's been a complete and utter failure in large part. But they are convinced, as are many of these kinds of organizations, that it hasn't been tried right. You know? If only we tried it properly. So they have got more and more power at City Hall over the last couple of years. They have lobbied. They have enabled their activists to go to City Hall to engage in the process. And they actually have a voice at City Hall, believe it or not, this KC Tenants group. But they have continued to become very, very radical when it comes to the conflict in the Middle East. There are multiple social media posts from the KC Tenants organization that is all about defending Palestine. And essentially, I would call it anti-Semitic. I don't believe that's too strong of a statement to say a lot of these posts coming from a lot of these people is clear anti-Semitism. So when you're doing that and when you look at that and you're trying to figure out, gosh, I'm the mayor of this city. Do I want organizations like that in my inner circle? Do I want organizations like that having a seat at the table? Even if you might agree with them on some housing policy, gosh, I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot and there were far-right groups who might have some good ideas on economic policy, but they were Nazi sympathizers, I wouldn't want them anywhere near me. And if you had a mayor of different political persuasion, I would hope he or she would not want them anywhere near her either. So this is one of those things where you have got to figure out a way. I know you have to appease the base, and it's sad that appeasing the base means appeasing Palestinian sympathizers, but that's the world we're in right now. But Mayor Lucas has got to figure out a way to get these people as far away from him and his administration as possible. Take their ideas if you want. If you think they got some good ideas, take them, use what you like, and apply it and give yourself credit, fine. But having organizations like Kansas City Tenants, who have been very much sympathetic to Palestine over the years, and obviously now that has become the center of not just the Kansas City news cycle, but the global news cycle, that's not anything I would want my mayor to be a part of. And it's not anything you should want your mayor to be a part of either. 913-408-7957. That is the new number as we are broadcasting on the crystal clear 95.7 FM. Hit that radio preset as we roll through a busy 6 o'clock hour. Dan Bongino will be here at 7:10 this morning with a very big announcement for this show. Coming up, since it is a Chiefs game day, I got a little bit of information last night regarding the future of both our professional sports teams and everything going on with the Royals. Where are they going to move? What are they going to do? That I want to share with you coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio, now on FM at 95.7. What if I told you we might actually find out about the future of the Chiefs before the future of the Royals? Is that impossible? Not based on what I'm hearing last night. Welcome in on, yes, KCMO Talk Radio, now on FM at 95.7. Hit that preset on your radio. That way you're all lined up on 95.7 FM. So appreciate you being here. Thanks for the nice response in the first, 20 minutes of the show on the text line. It is awesome to be heard crystal clear. And the complaints that we were getting for so long, those are going out the window. All right, no more complaining, because now we got that full 100,000 watt FM stick for you here on KCMO. And we are so fired up about that. Also fired up for Dan Bongino. He'll be here in 50 minutes at 7:10 this morning for a big announcement. Don't miss it. So I'm talking to a couple of people last night, and we're all wondering, hey, what's going on with the Royals? They were supposed to announce by the end of September what their future was going to be. Are they going to go to Clay County up north? Are they going to stay in Jackson County and go downtown? What are they going to do, right? Well, then a couple of folks start kind of putting this in my ear, and I'm like, sheesh. They said, yeah, the Chiefs, they want to announce their future plans. And the Chiefs are not looking at a new stadium right now, according to the people I've been speaking with. They prefer an Arrowhead renovation. And they want to get the ball moving on this. They want to get it done. They know they have to strike while the iron is hot, and there is nothing hotter in this town, of course, than the Kansas City Chiefs. So they realize, hey, the sooner we get this done, the sooner we just know we've got this 0.3 of a cent coming into our coffers, the better off we can be in terms of planning our future. They don't want to leave. They want to stay there, but they also don't want a new stadium, based on the people I was talking to. And that makes sense. It's always been a belief that, Clark Hunt knows that Lamar's late father loved that stadium. Heck, every Kansas City and I know loves that stadium. So just tweak it, get it upgraded how you need to. But, in terms of knocking it down, that's apparently not going to be an option. So that's good. But the Chiefs want to announce that pretty soon, from what I'm hearing. They want to get out there on the streets and say, hey, here's our plan. We want to extend the sales tax. Come on and join us. But the Royals are still sitting there without any idea, apparently, what they're going to do. They're still trying to figure out, do we stay in Jackson County? Do we go up to Clay? How much money can we get from the city, from the county, from the state? Because what they want, as you well know by now, is not just a new stadium, but they also want this big, grandiose ballpark village like they've done in Atlanta and, other new baseball stadiums that have been built. Why? It gives them a revenue stream, right? They make money off that revenue stream for hotel stays, restaurants, food, beer, commercial real estate. They can have another revenue stream beyond just 81 baseball games a year. And their approach is, hey, we need that, right? We need that because we got to compete with the big markets. There's no salary cap in Major League Baseball, so this is what we have to do. Now, the Orioles and the Rays and some other clubs would say something about whether or not you need a big payroll to win, but, we'll set that aside here for this part of the conversation. They believe that they need more taxpayer monies to build that ballpark village to keep this team competitive. The problem is they have been their own worst enemy on this front. They have not been transparent. They have not been forthright. And as much as I have been sympathetic to them saying, hey, we want to get out of here, we're going to go somewhere else, we need something new, I have been sympathetic to that in large part. However, I have not liked how they've gone about handling it, all the way back to late last year when they went on their, air quotes, listening tour. Remember that? The big old listening tour the Royals went on? They did the little dog and pony show in different parts of town, and they said, yeah, we're here to hear from you, the people. I mean, come on. That wasn't a listening tour. That was a telling tour. The Royals told people what they wanted to tell them. And now here they are nearly a year later, and they have given us nothing when it comes to information, plans, location. All they've done is not keep to their own timeline. That's all they've done. The only thing they've accomplished is not keep to the timeline they gave the people of Kansas City. And now we're up against it. Heck, we're sitting here middle of October, right? Major League Baseball playoffs are well underway. and no one's got any idea what their plans are. And if they don't figure it out, I would say by the second week of November, it's not going to happen until the new year. That would just be my hunch. The holidays, combine that with any kind of government entity, nothing's going to happen. I mean, there's no way. You get to Thanksgiving, there is no chance. The Royals combined with city, county, and state government are going to accomplish anything. But their deadline to get themselves on the ballot in April, which is what is believed what they want to do, is the middle of January. So they have to have, essentially, whatever they want to be on the ballot decided by mid-January. And you might say, well, that's 3 months away. Man, that is going to be here in the snap of a finger. It's going to be here before we know it. So you can't just sit here and say, well, the Royals have a lot of time. They do not have a lot of time. No way, no how. And now if the Chiefs want to beat them to the punch and possibly announce their stadium plans, boy, that would be awfully embarrassing for the Kansas City Royals. 913-408-7957. Great to be here on KCMO Talk Radio. Now on FM at 95.7. Hit that preset. Let's say hi to Mark. He's in Liberty. Hey, Mark, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, listen, I think that the setup of the Truman Sports Complex, the notion, the idea is perfect. What needs to happen, because the area is blighted, is you need an overhaul of the entire area, gentrification. Build up the surrounding area with an entertainment district, bars, restaurants, even a movie theater. Do it correctly. Mm-hmm. And that area will thrive. The stadiums will thrive. Upgrade both of them as needed. I think it's the perfect solution. Because I know what the future will bring. If everybody just bolts, it'll look like garbage.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mark. They do have that burnt-out Denny's down there that you can go grab a bite at if you want. Mark loves going there, right, Mark? You're a
Grand
big fan.
Slam, baby. Love it.
He loves the Grand Slam at the burnt-down Denny's. Here's the thing, though. Here's the problem with that, Mark. And I actually talked to somebody about this last night, too. Developers want no part of it. They do not see a pathway to any kind of economic development around the stadium. We know it's blighted, and there's not an entertainment complex district that is going to save it. And the Royals know that, the teams know that, and the developers know that, for better or for worse. 913-408-7957. There you go, 95.7. We are now on the Monster 100,000-watt FM here on KCMO Talk Radio. It is so great to be with you. Crystal clear. Hit that preset right now. Get that done as you get in the car this morning and get going on KCMO Talk Radio. Dan Bongino will have a special announcement at 7:10 this morning, 40 minutes away, on KCMO Talk Radio. And Olathe teacher got fired for farting in TikTok videos. We'll get to it next. All right, real quick, we got some breaking news before I get to this Olathe story. I don't know if you guys saw this. Besides the fact that we're on 95.7 FM, and I hope that you hit your preset, New York Post has it here first. You see this? Taylor Swift will be at Arrowhead Stadium tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
She heard about us moving and figured you got to be in town for that, right?
Let's go.
Oh, gosh. That's right. That's right. Turn up that hotkey there, Mark. Would you please? Come on, baby. Woo! Let's go.
Just want to make sure her name was still coming out over this frequency. Don't have the music, but we'll say her name.
Oh, jeez. Now Mark's gonna have to get me a little Taylor Swift here at some point.
You know I will.
Oh, I know Mark's gonna be all over it. I'm going to the game tonight, so I think Taylor just wanted to have a chance to hang out with us here at KCMO, and she knew we were going to be there, and we got this big day today in town, so she wanted to listen to 95.7. The irony, of course, is that we used to play her music on this signal, and now we're talking about her instead, which is, by the way, far more interesting than the music. I'm just going to point that out. So here we go. TMZ had it first. Taylor Swift is going to be at Thursday Night Football against the Broncos. Wow. So this is getting serious, man. This is getting she's been now at 3 of 4 games.
And I also read that she came in the day after his birthday. That was under the radar.
Oh.
I totally missed that one. I thought she was coming the day of. She came in the day after.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so she made it up to the big guy. All right, this is getting serious. Now, doesn't the movie, see, here's the thing. This part, I don't know. The movie that she's got coming out, is that coming out today?
I think there was a premiere last night.
Okay.
In L.A.
See, gosh, this is so convenient, is it not? That she's going to show up on Thursday Night Football with tens of millions of people watching the day after the premiere of her movie. I don't know, man. I'm just, listen, if I was one of Travis Kelce's boys, I'd be saying, dude, just don't get your heart broken here. All right? I'm looking out for you as a friend. You're shooting way above your pay grade here. I mean, you know, you're a charity case compared to Taylor Swift making $14 million a year. So she's got you beating looks. She's got you beating money. She's got you beating power and fame. So you are punching way above your weight here, Travis. And the track record would suggest that Travis Kelce is not long for the job. I don't mean as Chiefs tight end. I mean as Taylor Swift's boyfriend. And she is an incredible businesswoman. Whatever you think about her, she is an incredible businesswoman. And she's no dummy. And now here she is, because here's the thing. If you want to get your message out there, if you want to be seen and be heard, there's no better place to do it than an NFL game. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, gets the viewership that the NFL does today. You know, there's no Friends, there's no Seinfeld, there's no ER. Those days are over. Those days are gone. Media is so fragmented, TV in particular is so fragmented that it's never going to be like it was a generation ago. The NFL is the only thing that people watch when you're talking about 10, 15, 20, 25 million people at once. So it wouldn't surprise me if Taylor Swift is making a business calculation here to show up at Arrowhead Stadium tonight. Only game in town, of course. You've got the entire evening to yourself. The NFL, Amazon Prime. Of course, what's it going to be on? Woke 41 here in town, John mentioned. So you can watch it on Woke 41 or you can watch it on Amazon Prime. And you'll see Taylor Swift, I'm sure, a couple of times tonight. Man, oh man, Jeff Bezos doing cartwheels right now with Amazon Prime. He is fired up. Sheesh, gosh, and we are fired up because we're now broadcasting on the 100,000 watt FM at 95.7 FM. So hit that preset on your radio dial as we hit 6:39 on a Thursday morning on KCMO. Dan Bongino's coming up in a half hour. The text line and the studio line is now 913-408-7957. How you join us and join the conversation on KCMO. So this Olathe teacher, he got canned. And boy, this guy sounds, oh gosh, he sounds like a, let's just put it this way. I got two little kids, and I would not want this guy teaching my kids. I'll say that much. Listen to him cry, complain, and moan on Fox 4 after he got fired for posting TikTok videos, and not just any TikTok videos, but TikTok videos where he would talk about lying to his own students.
Evan Taylor has been a stand-up comedian for 8 years and teacher for 6, most recently at Olathe's Mill Creek Campus Alternative School. And he also makes TikTok videos.
The reason that I'm doing comedy on TikTok is to make money because you only pay me $45,000 a year, and I work all the time.
But a series of videos at the beginning of the school year got him called into HR with the unusual question, how often he passes gas near students. That's something claimed on his TikTok account.
I tell my students the wrong stuff all the time when they annoy me. I tell them that Abraham Lincoln invented the car. That's why it's named after him.
He was told to take the videos down and asked to see the district's social media policy.
The district wouldn't comment on this personnel matter, but gave Fox 4 a copy of this policy, which requires staff on social media, as you can see here, to maintain the same level of personal responsibility, discretion, and professionalism expected in any other form of communication.
They don't understand it. The social media policies are designed for MySpace. They are years behind where we're currently at in the world, which is TikTok is alive and well. Everybody's on it.
Policy goes on to say you shouldn't post anything online you wouldn't say at a public meeting or to a member of the media. Now Taylor's talked to both as the district moved for termination after he says he refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement and resign.
This board is set to vote at the end of this to fire a teacher at the end of this meeting who has incredible evaluations from administration, great relationships with the students, and who care deeply about their success. I am that teacher, and this is all because of TikTok.
I tell them Logan Paul and Jake Paul had a great grandfather named Paul Revere because they don't even know how names work anymore.
Bragging about lying to your students? What is that?
Taylor says it was all a joke, and he's sure his students understood that. But he's had to post another video to them to say he's sorry he's not their teacher anymore.
The thing that I feel the worst about is that the students are the ones suffering. And I know deep down that there's nothing I could have done besides sacrifice on my values delete the videos and never make another TikTok.
With no immediate plans to try to return to teaching, Taylor says he has 30 gigs booked on what he's calling the teacher shortage.
No, I'm pretty sure, bro, that you're the one that definitely lost something here because you lost your job. All right, that is Stephen Taylor, who was making TikTok videos about how he was farting in front of his students and lying to them. Now, some of it was kind of funny, but it's like, dude, as a parent of two little girls who are eventually going to have these girls in the school system, I don't really want my teacher of my kids trying to go viral on TikTok by farting in front of them and lying in front of them about history. Like, there's plenty of lying that's already being done, right, by our schools when it comes to U.S. history. I don't need more of it with you talking about how Paul Revere is Logan Paul and Jake Paul's great-grandfather or something ridiculous like that. It's kind of entertaining, but don't do this whole thing of like, well, I only make $45,000 a year, that's why I'm doing this. No, it was your creative outlet, and that's fine. You're allowed to have a creative outlet. But you cannot use your students as part of your creative outlet. If he was just doing stand-up comedy on the side, that's not a big deal. But when your comedic routines are on social media and you're using your kids as content or our kids as content, that's where I got a problem. So Olathe did the right thing here, John. Get rid of him and cry me a river, buddy.
You don't want Claire coming home doing the Andrew Dice Clay version of Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill went up the hill. They both had $1.25. Jill came down with $2.50. Oh.
We do not want any part of that. Hey, Dad, my teacher taught me that Paul Revere was Logan Paul's grandpa. No, he was joking. Oh, he didn't make that clear, but he was filming a TikTok while he was doing it. We have enough problems with our education system right now. We certainly don't need this guy adding to it. So good riddance. Go ahead, try to be the next Jerry Seinfeld or whatever you want to be, Dave Chappelle, and have a blast. All right? Tony's in Raytown. What's up, Tony? Good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning. I just wanted to call and apologize for yesterday. I was out of breath when I called. But I just climbed up 3 flights of steps to get to my work area, and I heard that about you getting an F or something. And nope, I'm sticking up for my buddy Pete and John and Mark, and you guys got just such a wonderful show. And let me tell you, I got calls yesterday after we hung up. Some of my friends were listening. So there's a lot of us out here, and we really appreciate what you guys bring to the Metro.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tony, thank you. I'll add to this and say, you know what? It's because of every single person listening right now and any person who has listened over the last 6 years that has allowed us to make this move today to 95.7 FM and get this 100,000-watt FM stick and give us a much better reach across the Kansas City Metro. So thank you, Tony, and thank you to every single one of you. No matter how often you've listened to this show, you have helped make this happen. Coming up, Larry Behrens, Power of the Future. He's right down the road in Jeff City, and he wrote a great piece on how our policy with Iran, or lack thereof, clearly goes beyond the $6 billion in unfrozen assets that we've been talking a lot about in the wake of the horrific terrorist attacks in Israel. Larry Behrens, Power of the Future, will join us. Dan Bongino in 25 minutes with a big announcement on KCMO. That's right, baby. 95.7 FM. Hit that preset on the radio dial. It is a new world for KCMO Talk Radio today. We go from 250 watts on the FM to 100,000. That's right.
Boom, boom, boom.
We're fired up about that on a Thursday morning. What's up there, John? Gosh,
and of course, those numbers are adjusted for inflation.
You've been
that
waiting
did
for
sound
that
like
one.
a Jackson County tax assessment, though. 250,000 or 250
to 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, that does sound like a Jackson County tax assessment. Angie Riccono, KCTV5, is going to be here end of the hour to talk about that, by the way. So nice tease there, John. Thank you for bringing that up. So,
no problem.
If I told you that your daughter could end up going to college and being on a campus with somebody who is facing 54 years in prison for a felony charge of rape, would you feel good about that? Of course not. You'd be insane to. And I say that as a father of 2 young daughters who one day, if that's their path, will end up going to college. Well, that's exactly what Garden City Community College here in Kansas did yesterday. They accepted the enrollment of former Kansas basketball player Arterio Morris, who was arrested and charged with a count of rape, which ultimately led to his dismissal from the program. He was suspended from the program last month after he pled no contest to misdemeanor assault in Denton County, Texas, stemming from a prior incident. And now there was this awful recent incident that took place on the KU campus that led to him getting dismissed nearly immediately after this all took place. Now, I'll get to some of the details on this, but what Garden City Community College did is put every female at risk on that campus. I know that community colleges and junior colleges are oftentimes where these athletes go when they either have academic issues, they can't get into a major power institution, they have some legal troubles. I understand that's typically how it goes down. And I'm sympathetic to that when it's academic. But you have somebody who has already been dealing with an assault case with an ex-girlfriend last year and now has a legitimate rape charge and accusation levied against him. And Garden City Community College took him in. If I had friends and family in Garden City, and I used to work down in Northwest Oklahoma, that was my first, not my first radio job, but I guess first full-time radio job. So I was calling Woodward, Oklahoma high school football games, and we'd go up to Garden City, they'd come down, we'd do Dodge, we'd do all that down there in the southwest quadrant of Kansas. Great people, outstanding communities. If I had friends who had daughters at Garden City Community College, I would be telling them, and I would be livid with that administration, with that basketball program, from the president on down. Now, I also am aware of the fact that we live in a world where we are calling people guilty before they actually are guilty in a court of law. Trust me, I know, we've seen that. Whether it's something like the ridiculous Brett Kavanaugh stuff from a few years ago, I understand all that. We are too quick in America in 2023 to take an accusation and assume that that means you are guilty. But this is different. What happened with Arterio Morris is different. First off, because of his history dating back to Texas, where he's got this prior assault case from June of 2022 in an article and allegations that, go back well over a year now, where a woman, his ex-girlfriend, told police that Morris grabbed her arm, pulled her off a bed, grabbed her in the front of her sports bra, caused an injury to her neck. Police reported a 3-inch abrasion on her neck. They arrested Morris at the time on a charge of assault causing injury to a family member, which includes a dating relationship in Texas. So Bill Self took Arterio Morris anyway after that allegation and brought him to KU. And now the affidavit here from Lawrence from just a few weeks ago alleges Morris raped the victim inside a room at McCarthy Hall. That is where the KU men's basketball players stay. The affidavit alleges Morris pulled her onto his lap without consent after being told multiple times by the victim she didn't want to do anything. He then went on to assault her. She verbally and physically told him to stop, and he did not. A few minutes after the incident, the victim disclosed what had happened to 2 witnesses who were in McCarthy Hall, which is just south of Allen Fieldhouse. Another source, who was not the victim, echoed that detail with the Kansas City Star. They reported this the other day. That source said the victim, shortly after the incident, shared with 2 people that it had happened, including a KU basketball player. The affidavit also alleges that Morris told another person at McCarthy Hall on August 26th that he stopped sleeping with the victim. And I'm just using that word to be as family-friendly as possible with this story. And then later denied having sex with the victim at all. So his story's all over the map. He's been charged. He's facing anywhere from 12 years to 54 years in prison and or a fine up to $300,000. And Garden City Community College said, come on in, play some basketball. That is an absolute embarrassment by a community college right here in our state.
And he probably can't leave the state, right? It's probably why he chose Garden City.
Well, that's a good point. He probably can't leave the state. And the fact that you've got a community college that theoretically is half female now having to walk around with this guy? I mean, you want to talk about not looking out for young women on your campus. This is the very definition of it out there at Garden City Community College. So when I saw this last night, I'm like, all right, we'll try to reach out to somebody over there today and see if they have the ability, the wherewithal to come on and explain themselves. But something tells me that may not end up happening. 913-408-7710 is how you join us on KCMO. So Americans are stuck in a war zone. What's the administration saying next? Woo! 95.7 FM. Hit that preset. Our big news this morning as we get that 100,000-watt FM flamethrower. I don't want to hear any more complaints from you about, the signal. John has to take all the complaints anyway. So those days are over for you, John. Until people find something else.
I do the golden rule, so if you call it a complaint, you get one back. So that's just the way I work.
And John has a few of those for you. So you're saving me the time, too, by the way.
Pick a category.
So we are so excited to be here with you. Dan Bongino, by the way, is going to be on now at noon. Dan joined us for an interview this morning, just after 7 o'clock on KCMO. So little lineup tweaking as well, part of the process here in a new world for KCMO Talk Radio. Andrew Riccono, KCTV5, is going to be here in 10 minutes to talk about the latest fiasco with Jackson County and those property assessments. It just keeps getting worse. But in the meantime, there are a lot of Americans who are stuck in the Middle East right now, especially Israel. And here we go for a second straight, we had this issue in Afghanistan. We had this issue to a much lesser degree in Eastern Europe. And here we are again with Americans over the last couple of years stuck somewhere, including, by the way, Kansas. Roger Marshall, and I'm sure Missourians, but we had on Roger Marshall earlier this morning, and he said that he knows of at least half a dozen Kansans who are stuck and trying to get out, and he is suggesting that anybody who is a Kansan reach out to his office. And I know Josh Hawley is dealing with the same thing right now, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow on the Missouri side of the state line. But John Kirby, spokesman for the White House and dealing a lot with everything going on right now overseas, he was asked about this very issue. He was on Newsmax, and he was asked about, hey, how do we get Americans out? What are you guys doing? What can be done on this front? And the answer was not exactly inspiring.
Senator Josh Hawley sort of summed it up, what many people are asking. Here's a social media post he put out. He said, quote, "For the second time in 2 years, Americans are stranded in a war zone. What's the plan to get them out?" How can you answer that question?
Well, a couple of things here. First of all, commercial flights are still going in and out of Ben Gurion Airport, so that's always an option for those who may want to leave. There are still some viable ground routes, and we're exploring many other options as well to see if there's other things that we could do to help Americans who want to leave. There are many Americans who live and work in Israel. For many of them, it's home, and they don't want to leave. So we are mindful, though, that there could be some who using the commercial options or the ground route options are either not feasible or affordable. And so we are actively exploring other options.
I hear you actively exploring and that there.
Hold on. Let's stop it right there. Yeah, try to get a commercial flight. Well, everything I've read is that most of the commercial flights are not happening. So even if you can get one, it's probably a fortune. But hey, just if you got some spare time in between, trying to not get bombed, head to Priceline.com for a few minutes and see what you can book I'm a big kayak guy myself. I like kayak.com. I think it's got the best interface. But, that's just me. But, yeah, in between trying to dodge bombs from Hamas, see if you can book a flight out of town sometime. Geez, I'm better off trying to hang off the planes like in Afghanistan.
Just download the app, Pete.
I mean, what is this? What the heck kind of answer? That is a non-answer from John Kirby. You got to be kidding me.
There's commercial and ground options, John, but Fiji, Hungary, and South Korea have already used airlines to evacuate people out. Canada and Germany have announced evacuation flights in the coming days. So how is it that we are seemingly behind several countries on this front?
I think I would take issue with you that we're behind anybody here. We have been exploring options and continue to do that. And I would just say stay tuned. I think we'll have more to say very soon about what some of those options are going to look like.
American, United, Delta, are you speaking with them about, sort of contract work and getting people home?
Yeah, again, I think just stay tuned, and I think you'll hear more very soon about some of these options.
This is not like us teasing a new frequency, okay?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. More coming up tomorrow, 7:30. Don't miss it.
Like lives on the line there or anything.
Exactly. Like this whole stay tuned, teasing it, this isn't a radio tease. This is a life and death for some people. And at the very least, the American government should be at the forefront in getting their citizens out who want to get out. Instead, hey, stay tuned. Tomorrow's episode coming up next.
You get great responses from the administration, don't you? We're going to circle back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to address that question, that kind of stuff.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
More to come. We're exploring options. Mm-hmm. That's great. American, Delta, talk to them, contract work. I mean, heck. At this point, give me a Spirit Airlines. I mean, anything. Jeez, I'll take the Spirit Airlines, even if they charge me for extra thick socks, which is what they do on that airline. Literally, if you walk on with clothes, like if you just walk in by yourself, and your clothes weigh more than 4 pounds, they start charging you by the pound on top of that. That's what they do. I mean, it's I've done it once. I won't do it again. Why is it that every insane video from an airline seems to come out of Spirit? There's a reason for that. But at this point, I mean, heck, if you're the American government, get Spirit Airlines on the case. All right? And if they got to charge people a little bit to, bring on a bag, fine, whatever. Get them over there. They got those big yellow planes anyway, and not that they won't stick out or anything like that, but just something to help the folks. I mean, this is unbelievable. And then John Kirby was also asked about, the Iran oil production. Right? The fact that you have the Iranians who have made tens of billions of dollars over the last 3 years producing oil at incredibly high rates because we're not doing as much of that here in the U.S. How does that factor in? This was during a press conference yesterday from White House spokesman John Kirby.
It's important to remember that Iran gets most of its oil revenue off the black market, and evading sanctions, which they do, it's costly to them. In fact, our evidence is that they really only receive a fraction of the market value of the oil that they sell because they have to sell it on the black market. I don't have any announcements or decisions to make today with respect to any changes to the domestic oil production.
So they're not going to increase domestic oil production despite the fact that Iran has made tens of billions of dollars off of increased oil production of its own the last 3 years. 60 billion is the number I've seen. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Even if you're all about, getting a new Tesla and green energy and things like that, and that's fine. I think EVs are part of the future. I've said as much. But let people move to the electric vehicle at their pace versus forcing it on them via government policy, right? Via massive tax breaks for green energy through methods like reducing domestic oil production, which drives up the price of gasoline, which maybe makes some people say, finally, now I'll get the EV. Like, I'm okay with the EV thing coming. I don't deny that it's the way of the future. I don't think it's there yet realistically for a lot of people in this part of the world because, let's be honest, I mean, you go from Kansas City to Wichita. If you got to stop in the middle there and get a 4-hour charge, is that realistic for a lot of you in more rural parts of the region? No, it's not. So there's still a downside. The technology is not there yet, but I'm okay understanding it's the way of the future. But do not hurt yourself geopolitically, on the foreign policy front, and domestically to try to force this onto the American people. And that's exactly what is happening. And it's helping, put the Middle East into turmoil as well. 913-408-7957. That is the new studio line and the text line here on KCMO Talk Radio. A new day, a new era. This radio station has changed for decades to come with this new 100,000-watt FM stick. It is so great to be here with you on KCMO. Coming up, Angie Riccono is going to join us, KCTV5. She is really just kicking butt and leading the way on this reporting around Jackson County and its assessment debacle. And it has been, I'm shocked this hasn't gotten national attention with how bad this has gone. So she's going to join us with the latest update on that front. Our buddy Mike Mahoney, Channel 9 political reporter, is going to be here at 9:15. Busy hour and 15 until Ray Stevens takes over at 10, and Dan Bongino at noon right here on KCMO Talk Radio, now on FM at 95.7. Well, Taylor Swift, gosh, here she comes again to Arrowhead Stadium tonight. Sorry, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Got to do it like the news people do it. She's going to be here for the third time in 4 games. Breaking news this morning from TMZ. I said, Mark, give me some Taylor Swift. And that was a song I wasn't all that familiar with, Mark. So you went into the deep cuts, or am I just, the only guy who doesn't know what that song was?
It's got 55 million views. It's Look What You Made Me Do. It was popular about 5 years ago, probably.
55 million. I mean, Taylor Swift sneezes and gets 55 million views on something. That's not impressive. I mean, I need one of her 500 million view videos next time, or songs. That's what I need. But either way, Chiefs-Broncos tonight, and Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance again, John.
I liked it. It had a good beat. You could dance to it.
That's true. Yeah. Just don't break a hip. You're right. And you look good doing it.
Fashion patrol out, though, right? Will she have a different jacket that will be highly sought after?
My wife's still looking for the jacket from the first game against the Bears. That's been sold out on Fanatics for, since it went on. It went on sale the Wednesday after the Chiefs beat the Bears, and it sold out in 30 minutes. So I don't know if it's ever coming back. I hope they bring it back.
You're right about that, Taylor Swift. I mean, You Belong With Me, 1.5 billion views.
Yeah. Gosh, Mark, you're going for a deep cut on 55 million on Taylor Swift sound.
Not Jeez. A deep. It's just that's been around for 14 years. So
yeah. Oh,
time.
It has been? Jeez. Yeah. All right. Well, that's even less impressive, though, on the 55 million in 14 years. That's nothing.
Oh, no. I was saying You Belong With Me has been out for 14 years.
Oh, yes.
So it's had more clicks, probably.
Yes. Okay. All right. Fine. Keep finding excuses for yourself. I'm picking that song. So she's going to be there. And here's the thing. If you're sick of the Taylor Swift storyline, you could be in for a long night. Because if the Chiefs are blasting the Broncos, and the Broncos absolutely stink, you're going to get a lot of Taylor Swift. And on top of that, Amazon Prime, of course, who carries Thursday Night Football, they're new to the football game. Last year was their first year doing Thursday Night Football. So they're back this year for year 2. They got Al Michaels. They got Kirk Herbstreit. Al Michaels could have a field day with this tonight. I mean, of all the creativity in the play-by-play booth, Al Michaels is by far the funniest, most creative guy that we've got on the major NFL broadcasts. He's more creative and funnier than certainly Joe Buck. Joe Buck thinks he's funny. He's not funny. Mike Tirico, no, that's not Mike. Nance has his moments, but he's kind of corny. Al Michaels is genuinely funny and still has that zip on the fastball. And Kirk Herbstreit, I mean, he spends his Saturdays with Pat McAfee on ESPN and College Game Day. So this duo has a chance. If the Chiefs are blowing things out tonight against the Broncos, we could have a lot of Swiftie action going on.
And last week I watched for show purposes. Thursday Night Football usually not that great, but I knew the Chiefs game was coming up. So I heard him projecting, will Taylor Swift be here next Thursday night?
They were doing that, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Were.
All right. Well, I get you. Al Michaels, I don't know. He's got to be 80 years old now, so he's not doing cartwheels. But I know Jeff Bezos is. He's looking pretty jacked lately. If you haven't seen him in his $100 million yacht, he's looking good. So Amazon folks are going to be pumping their fists all over the place. And CBS is like, hey, what did we do wrong? They're the only network that hasn't benefited yet from the Swiftie action. They had the Minnesota Vikings Chiefs game this past weekend, and she's like, nah, I'm not going to Minneapolis. So here's what I'll be watching as well. the camaraderie or lack thereof between Taylor and Donna Kelce? Is the mother-girlfriend relationship getting stronger? Is Donna Kelce still keeping her at an arm's length? Is she still mean-mugging a little bit when Taylor's banging on the glass like it's a hockey game? I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we're going to get a lot of this in the second half because if the Chiefs do what they should do tonight against a hapless, feckless Broncos team, forget, 17 Taylor Swift cameos from that Jets game. Try 71 this time. It might be on overload. So if you're sick of it, I'm sorry, but remember this. As I said about NBC when I defended them on showing a lot of Taylor Swift, they are in the business of getting eyeballs to their product, to NBC, to Fox, to CBS, in this case to Amazon Prime. And how many, by the way, young girls or adult women are signing up for Amazon Prime today when they hear this news? I guarantee you there are thousands, if not millions of people that are considering signing up for Amazon Prime today because they know Taylor Swift is going to be on Thursday Night Football at some point. Now, here in town, it's going to be on what? Woke 41 Action News is going to carry the game. So Woke 41 will have it tonight. Just, avoid the pre and the post, I guess. Certainly don't happen to accidentally stumble onto the evening news on Woke 41. You don't want to do that. That's not going to be good for you. But otherwise, you know what? It is what it is. And Taylor Swift is going to be a star of the show tonight. So such is life. 9:10 now on 95.7 FM. KCMO, a new world, a new frequency for us on the 100,000-watt flamethrower that is 95.7 FM. So hit that preset on your radio dial. It's been a great morning so far. And Ray Stevens is going to continue that at 10 o'clock. So can't wait for that. 913-408. I got it right this time. 7957. There you go. That's how you join us here on KCMO. Let's go to you on the phones. Also on the text line here. Let's go to Robert. He's in Kansas City. We just talked to Angie Riccono about the Jackson County property tax debacle. What's up, Robert?
Debacle is a nice word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a small business owner that deals in property. Just had my BOE hearing via phone. You don't even go in person. It's via phone, so you can't see all the shifty things they're doing for the official hearing. They swear you in. They don't even know if you've raised your hand, but it doesn't matter because they make everything up. The whole thing started with the fake because they do it based on comps. And so you have big companies like BlackRock and Zillow and all those that trade bulk, and they trade. It's like Amway. They all just sold to each other, inflated the prices.
All right, Robert, just give me the juice here, buddy. Help me out. Help me help you.
Yeah, well, they're based on fake numbers. The comps they use are fake. They didn't inspect any of the properties. They pretend like they did. I buy mine in very distressed condition and then fix them up. But they don't know that because they didn't look at the properties. They don't know about it.
So what's happened with your appeal process? I mean, what did you get it from? Did you get it down? Where are you at with it right now?
Well, they raised the prices literally about 600, 800% on mine. And then dropped them back down to maybe a 500% increase and act like they did me a favor.
So what did you wait? You went up 800% on your property?
Yeah, because these are, like I said, I buy them very, very distressed. I mean, these are ones that probably should have been torn down, but we specialize in fixing them up and making them quality houses. So I'll buy them for $1,000 or something. Sometimes they're given away because nobody can deal with them. They need so much money to fix them up. And so I went through the BOE hearings last year and the year before, and the BOE themselves appraised them at maybe $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. And then this year they just made up stuff and appraised them at $90,000 to $150,000.
Wow.
Property.
So let me ask you then, Hill, real quick, Robert. You appealed them. You have a purchase price for them in the last, year, I imagine, or at least couple of years. And does that help you in the process or no?
No, they because they make up their numbers. All they want to look at is these fake appeals. They just make it up as they go. I had one that they were going to adjust back down to somewhere around $20,000 because of the condition of it, and they said, "Oh, you're on 0.3 of an acre, so the property you have a bigger lot, so the value of the lot made it go up to $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody lots is not selling. Nobody's developing new residential homes in the area I'm in. And then they kept using this phrase. Once they accepted it was in poor condition. They acted like they were pulling up a number on the computer, but I know what part of their anatomy they were getting it out of instead of a computer. They kept using this phrase, here's the price, time adjusted.
Yeah. No, listen, they have had, Robert, I'm glad you brought this up because you're a guy who's investing in some of these lots, and thanks for checking in with that. But there are people like Robert who own multiple properties around Jackson County as pieces of land, essentially, that they fix up, invest in, whatever. And no one really thinks about those guys and gals, right? And how they are getting hit on some of this stuff.